Good morning, students. Today we will discuss Origin and Evolution of Angiosperms Part 2. This lecture is for MSc Botany Semester 3 students for the paper Taxonomy of Angiosperms, that is paper 13. In my previous lecture, we studied Phylogeny and Origin and Evolution of Angiosperms Part 1, in which we discussed phylogeny of angiosperms, whether it is monophyletic or polyphyletic, and evidences in favor of both mono and polyphyletic origin of angiosperms, and time of origin of angiosperm, and evidences in favor of the given time of origin of the angiosperms, and views of different researchers, different taxonomists. Today we will discuss phylogeny, Origin and Evolution of Angiosperm Part 2, in which we will study place of the origin of the angiosperms and some other topics also. So we will start with place of the origin of the angiosperms. Where the angiosperms might have first originated is also not yet finally decided. Three divergent views regarding the place of their origin are under mentioned. Here, 1868 suggested that the angiosperms originated at high altitudes in the north polar regions. Hooker, Assa, Gray, Arnold, etc. supported his view. From the polar Arctic and Antarctic regions, the angiosperms spread in successive waves across the whole earth, according to these scientists, along with he. However, Croizet and Taxogen firmly rejected the Arctic or Antarctic origin of flowering plants. The second view, Hellier 1912, proposed that the angiosperms originated first in the basin of the Pacific Ocean at places such as New Zealand, New Caledonia, Andes, and the Hawaiian Islands. According to the Taxogen 1969, the western part of the basin of Pacific Ocean is particularly rich in the primitive angiospermic families and covers the areas such as Assam, Burma, China, Japan to Australia, New Zealand, New Caledonia, and Fiji. And therefore, the angiosperms probably originated in this part of the eastern and southeastern Asia and Australia. So, Taxogen supported the view of Hellier of the origin of the angiosperms in the basin of the Pacific Ocean. The third view is, according to Dutoit 1947, the discovery of some angiosperm-like inflorescence from the Triassic beds of South Africa indicates that this must be the place of the origin of angiosperms. Which place? Triassic beds of South Africa, according to Dutoit. Now, origin of monocots. Some views. Engler proposed that monocots originated from isoetals, ophioglycales, and a few other pteridophytes. Sargent 1903-1908 proposed that monocots originated as a result of the adaptation of the aquatic habit to the geophilous or marshy habit and called them as aquatic geophytes. Hagelmeier 1878 suggested that the embryo of monocot originated as one of the two dicotyledons of a typical dicot embryo that failed to develop. This hypothesis was named as abortion hypothesis. This view was supported by workers such as Metcalfe and Eames. Hellyer 1914 concluded that monocots originated from a dicotyledonous family, Lizardiaceae. Some more views about the origin of the monocots. Cheadle 1953 has shown that vessels in dicots and monocots originated independently, and therefore the ancestors of monocots must have been some vessel-less dicots such as nymphaeas or magnoliaes. Hutchinson opined that monocots originate from Ranunculaceae. Takhtajan believed that monocots might have originated from some extinct vessel-less herbs having Apocarpus gynoecium and monocolpate pollen similar to the modern nymphaeas. Stebbins 1974 was of the opinion that monocots probably originated from some Drimys-like ancestors having vessel-less wood and short internodes. And Berger 1977 opined that monocots were derived from some dicot ancestors similar to Chloranthacea and Piperales. Chloranthacea of Piperales. He believed that Piperales were related more closely to monocots than any other living dicots. He suggested that simple flowers like those of Chloranthacea came together by losing their internodes and forming trimerous flowers of several monocots and Piperales. So these are some views of different scientists regarding the origin of monocots. Now, lines of evolution in angiosperms. Renales are considered as the most primitive angiosperms because of these reasons. Absence of vessels in over 100 living representatives of family Magnoliaceae, Winteraceae, Alismataceae of this order. Then, presence of triradiate ridge on the pollen grains of the genus Schinandra of Magnoliaceae. Binucleate pollen at the time of its release from a microsporangium in several Magnoliaceae, Winteraceae, Ranunculaceae, etc. and floral morphology and anatomy, etc. So, on the basis of these characters, renales are considered as the most primitive angiosperms. Now, the general opinion of phylogenists is that at least three main lines of general evolution are observed from the renalian plexus. We said that these are the characters on the basis of which renales are considered to be the most primitive group of angiosperm, most primitive order of angiosperms, and this renalian plexus again give rise three lines of evolution. The first line consists of rhoideales, sarraceniales, parieteales, malveales, geraniales, sapindales, rhamnales, and some tubifrales. The second line attains the climax of campanules through rogales, myrtales, umbellales, and rubiales. And the third line included liliales and orchidales. So, from the renalian plexus, these three lines of evolution are observed. In the first line, the hypogynous condition remained unchanged. Rhoideales and sarraceniales evolved parallelly from renales. Development of the gynophore in Caparidaceae shows a definite relation between parieteales and rhoideales. Malwares evolved from Bombycaceae. There exists definite relationship between malwares and geranias. Geranias are related to sapindales and sapindales to rhamnels. Fusion of sepals and petals and carpels as well as the epipetalous condition is seen in Solanaceae. Labiatae is the most advanced family of this line. Besides the fusion of sepals, petals and carpels and epipetalous condition, the number of floral parts in Labiatae are reduced to 4 or 2. So this makes Labiatae the most evolved family in this line. What? Besides the fusion of sepals, petals and carpels and epipetalous condition, the number of floral parts in Labiatae are reduced to 4 or 2. In the second line of evolution, a change is observed from hypogyny to epigyny through perigyny. Hypogyny, epigyny through perigyny. The change from hypogyny to epigyny is seen clearly in rosettes. The formation of hypanthodium shows a change of perigyny into epigyny in myrtles. Epigyny and syncarpy in umbellales show an advancement over myrtles. Umbellales are related to rubiales through the characters such as umbel-like inflorescence, separation of calyx, epigyny, etc. Campanulales top this line with the presence of pappus, irregular flowers, and fusion of floral parts. And the third line shows a few resemblance between monocotyledons, that is Alismataceae, and dicotyledons, Ranunculaceae. Third line shows a few resemblances between monocotyledons and dicotyledons in the family Alismataceae and family Ranunculaceae. Liliales and renales differ in the number of floral parts and fusion of carpels. Epigynous condition of Iridaceae and Amaryllidaceae is a stage of advancement over Liliales. There exist evidences of the origin of Gramineae from Liliaceae, but the reduction in number of stamens and carpels and also the loss of parient part indicate that Gramineae are more advanced than Liliaceae. On the basis of reduction in number of stamen and carpel and also the loss of parient part indicate that Gramineae is more advanced. Orchidaceae possesses insect pollinated, irregular and showy flowers and is thus the most advanced family of monocotyledons. So these are the three lines of evolution in angiosperms from the Rennelian plexus. I hope you understand the origin and evolution of angiosperms. Thank you.